Or would you rather be a fish? Oh, wait, you would rather be a fish? Oh, fuck.
Hey.
All I can say is, just so we're clear, this wasn't a bit. Like, he wrote his, I wrote mine. We came in live. Welcome to Generation Movie on a Monday nights. As we continue our decade Oscar cavalcade. And we finish it up tonight with movies that, for whatever reason, won Best Picture, and we don't theoretically understand why. So
I mean, I see why this year's. Oh, go ahead.
My name is JW Colwell. I'm joined by Rich Drees. Rich, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great. It was a good weekend. Finally cleared the schedule, so I got to 3 movies on Saturday.
What'd you see?
Got a few things coming for me to watch very soon that I can't wait to A, watch, and then B, talk about over the next 6 weeks or so. Let's see. I saw Hoppers on Saturday,
Fantastic.
which I enjoyed. I don't think I think it's mid-tier Pixar, but as we've said before, mid-tier Pixar is still better than most other folks' stuff, which is fine. I saw Crime 101.
I saw Crime 101 and Hoppers too this week. Interesting. I saw Crime 101 on Thursday.
Okay. What did you think?
I haven't done a review of it, but what I would say is it's the closest we've gotten to Heat in a while. Like, and when I say that, it's just, adults on screen with like lots to do and fun action, and you know what I mean? Like, I had the funniest line of the weekend as I was sitting next to my friend. I'm like, if Chris Hemsworth needs a hooker, we're all fucked. Like,
Yeah.
I was like,
we're all not fucked, is what you mean.
Yeah, but what I found engaging and fun is that it's an adult action movie, right? And it's got Heat-ish things. It's certainly not Heat, but nothing really is. You know what I mean? Michael Mann. But it's good and it's well done, and Ruffalo is great. Like, Ruffalo is not just good. Ruffalo is great, and I want him.
Oh God!
I would like to see his cop come back in other movies.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed his cop so much that I was like, Ruffalo should do Columbo. Ruffalo should come back and.
They are, yeah. Aren't they working on a reboot of Columbo?
I don't know, but if they are, it should be Ruffalo. Like, he would be fantastic. Everybody was good though. Like, there wasn't anybody in it that I went, okay, this isn't working for me. Good action sequences. Nolte's pretty great. Barry Keoghan is, every time he's on screen, he's doing something fun. Like,
if we're not him playing the Joker in Matt Reeves' Batverse, then this is as close as we're going to get, and that's fine. I mean,
he's but the thing is, as an actor, like, he looks like he's having so much fun. He's like hanging out with all these people, and he gets to go into these chameleon roles where he just kind of jumps into them like Saltburn in this, and like, he just looks to be having the absolute best time. Like I said, I think it was probably a little bit too long, but I
had fun with it. It honestly, it kind of made me miss my trips to Los Angeles, because where the two scenes in the, like, that food court area that Chris Hemsworth goes with you, that's actually Grand Central Terminal, which is a, like, huge restaurant stall area. That's where I would walk for breakfast from my hotel from a couple of blocks away every morning. So I was like, oh my God, Grand Central. Oh, I missed that breakfast place. And then there's another shot that was on, right on the corner of South Grand Street, also a couple of blocks away from my hotel. There was, I recognized a couple of things that I had driven by and stuff. But I was just like, I got to go back to Los Angeles soon. It made me miss Los Angeles.
I liked it very much. I think it's like the other thing I think that about it is, again, it's an adult action movie, right? It's got real adults with real problems, real actor. You know what I mean? Like, we don't get that a lot. You know what I mean? Like, we just don't.
Based on a novel, but ergo, it feels very novelistic. And I would like to maybe track down the book at some point and give it a read and see how well it translated over.
I think it's a perfect.
Don Winslow, I understand, is a great crime novelist. I've not read any of his stuff, but somebody says it's very similar to James Ellroy. So that's kind of got me sold on. I should probably check that out because I do like the
feels like it's in the grand tradition of LA-based action movies. You know what I mean? And those are always fun. Just I just think it's one of those things where you look at it and you go, they're having a blast. You know what I mean? And that doesn't happen often. That doesn't happen all the time. So I was impressed with it. So I liked Hopper. I think I probably liked Hoppers more than you did, but I liked about Hoppers, right? As we're talking about it, is the batshit insanity of the movie itself. Like it's one of those movies. It is the closest Pixar has ever come to making a Looney Tunes movie. It's close.
On a certain level, I think I would agree with you.
It's just got a wacky thing going on, and it's just, and it just every time you think it's going to get wackier, it gets wacky. Like it goes, hey, hold my beer. We can make this wackier. And I just enjoyed the hell out of that concept of just, we're going to go all out and we're going to try to throw it against the wall and see what happens. And we're not going to have a care in the world. And I found that very appealing. Like in this world we live in, we need to laugh. And I just found it, I found it very appealing. I don't know. So what else did you say?
And then finally, I topped off my day after those two movies with The Bride. So very varied cinematic diet on Saturday.
Yeah, eclectic is the word I would use. Eclectic is a good word. Bananas. I did Crime 101 on The Bride on Thursday.
It's just all bananas.
So let's talk a little bit about The Bride. Where are you? Where are you? Are you pro Bride? Are you?
I am definitely leaning towards. I liked it a lot. It takes a lot of big swings. I have a feeling that's a movie that to actually really unpack it, you're going to need to watch it a couple of times. And that's not a bad thing.
Ambition is a good thing. And like I said, I was telling people, basically what I thought of it is that it's ambitious. And every once in a while we need something ambitious to knock us out of our doldrums. Now, is it going to work for everybody? No, it's just not. And that's okay too. Like I was thinking about it, right? It's okay that it's not going to work for everybody. And actually the fact that it doesn't work for everybody is kind of okay too. But what I enjoy, like Buckley was so good and Bale was great, man. Like,
oh gosh, yes.
He's just, it's like, and the interesting thing is it's our second version of the monster we've had this year. And it's a completely glorious, MGM Melodies version of the character, right? He's obsessed with movies. And that's the other thing that I think you can take away. The one thing I can tell you about Maggie Gyllenhaal in this movie is that she loves movies. Like she loves on the run movies and on the road movies. And she loves 1930s, romantic comedies.
She likes Bonnie and Clyde.
She likes Bonnie and Clyde. The idea that, this filmmaker is making movies that are basically, where you look up and you're like, they're fun and they're energetic and they're trying hard and it's ambitious. Not all the swings work for me. Like I'll tell you a swing that they get away. Like not to spoil. It's not a spoiler really, but the framing structure didn't work great for me. I didn't like the Buckley had to jump between. I liked Ida better than I liked any other version of the bride.
It raised some questions for me, like how does this work? But it also, I think, was also kind of like questioning the power of storytelling itself, in the fact that a storyteller kind of imposing her will and her creation into being, which I thought was an interesting idea. And dare I say, anytime you're in Hollywood trying to get a studio to give you money to make a creation, you are, it's almost a sheer act of willpower to get it into existence. So I kind of appreciated it, especially for a female director. So I, appreciated it on a meta level like that.
Yeah. And I think that's about right. I felt like some of the creative swings, like she was doing so well with other things that, like, I enjoyed thoroughly Frankie going to the movies. I enjoyed thoroughly, like, Frankie inserting himself into movies and just not being able to do anything. Like, I enjoyed all of that weirdness. I think it's like, we're going to talk about it in a moment. We're going to talk about what we're talking about. We're going to get to comments first, but also if you like this kind of discussion about new movies, about old movies, and you like Generation Movie, like and subscribe on our Facebook page and the Indie Escape Network and YouTube, Instagram, Threads, TikTok, Blue Sky, Facebook, X or whatever the fuck Crazy Pants is calling it. X or whatever Crazy Pants is calling it this week, and IMDb.
Yes. Well, let me ask you this real quick. This was a Warner Brothers release, right? Yes. So, unfortunately, I think this is breaking Warner Brothers box office hit streak.
The streak is officially over. We're going to talk. Let's talk about that. Let's do comments first, and then we'll talk about it.
Okay. Yes.
That's where I was going to go. Let's see. So, good evening, friends. Hi from Nate B30. Nate B30. I like that. Star Wars based. Hola. Hello. Hi. Hey. You've covered everything. We're good. Welcome to the show. We hope you enjoy it. We're gonna be talking Going My Way tonight. But we'll get into other things, like I said. But the streak is broken, right? Because the box office wasn't good. Like like the interesting thing is Scream got out of the doghouse because of how bad The Bride bombed.
Everybody was preoccupied with The Bride bombing that they missed how bad a drop off Scream had.
Yeah, we would have been talking. Well, the other thing about that is Scream's made almost more money than the first two movies in the franchise, so it's like they're not going to care anyway. But
were we talking off camera? I know we didn't do a show last week because I was off seeing something. But didn't we talk off camera about the second weekend of Scream 7 being the real arbiter of whether this movie is good or is going to be a hit or not for the franchise?
Well, no, I would say
because all the reviews were really bad, all the fan feedback was not positive. I was saying, I know I talked to somebody, and I thought it was you. It might not have been. It might have been me. But what I would have said the second weekend was going to drop off real hard.
Well, what I would have said to you is it probably was us, but what I would have said to you had we had this discussion, what I would have said is even with the drop off, it's going to be one of the more profitable movies because they didn't spend a lot on it. Mm-hmm. Like it's going to be one of the more profitable movies in the franchise history. The problem that it's going to endeavor with it dropping off and not being popular, and where it, like, you never know. Sometimes when you go back and you watch new versions of a franchise, you give it more leeway. I don't know that it's going to get the leeway. And the real big problem is if they do decide to do a Scream 8, which I think they're going to do, not just because of money, but I think they want to get, if it ends the franchise, they don't want to end on this note. You know what I mean?
The problem is people coming back to it though after this.
That's the problem. That's the problem. Is like it is very much the first time we're coming out of a Scream movie where we have lost trust that every Scream movie is pretty good and we don't have to worry about it. That would be my thing. But let's talk about box office. So The Bride grossed. First off, it cost $90 million to make. Which is a huge price tag for a horror genre slash feminist empowerment slash auteur horror film. Like it's not like an A24 like Hereditary. It's very much, it didn't get any of the bump of a horror film because people didn't view it as a horror film. They viewed it as something else, which is weird because it is at its core a dark horror comedy horror film. Where you run into problems with The Bride is that it costs so much to make. It went from over the weekend, they thought it was going to make like 16 to 18 million, then it dropped. Its global tally is only 13.6 million.
Yeah.
Which is just abysmal.
I know Variety did a piece today about like the 5 ways this movie went wrong in its marketing or something like that.
The main, I read this article, and the main one they're right on. Original release date for this film was October of 2025. You released this movie in October, second week of October, first week of October. You get the Willy Chili vibe bump. You get a bump.
You get the spooky season bump.
You get a spooky season bump. Also, if you release it late October, you get a spooky season bump and a possible Oscar corridor bump, right? Because it's a weird release date.
I'm kind of iffy on that.
I'm just saying it could be sold that way.
Back in October, Hamnet was coming out, and Jessie Buckley was getting a lot of buzz for that performance. And everything she's been doing recently has been all kind of the usual campaigning for the Oscar stuff. All the interviews and stuff.
That's the other thing. They couldn't
about Hamnet, not this film. So I'm afraid that if this had come out in the initial, wake of Hamnet, might it have harmed her chances of getting that Oscar nomination altogether?
No, because I think it's a good performance. I think it's more of a range thing. Like, she can do anything right now. Like, is where it's that version of her career right now where she can do whatever she wants. But,
and I think she is fantastic in The Bride. However, I think Academy members would go, "Oh, she's also in that really stinky Bride of Frankenstein movie. That's not doing really well."
So you feel it would have been the Norbert? You feel that The Bride is Norbert?
I don't know if Norbert was necessarily what jinxed Eddie Murphy's chances, because remember, Norbert did get Oscar nominated for Best Makeup.
Yeah, but but once Norbert came out, it was his chances were over. Like it. Yeah.
Okay. So maybe it could have. Maybe it could have Norberted.
I think where Variety gets it right is the release date is definitely off. They couldn't do full marketing because she is in an Oscar push right now, right? So all of her time is devoted to talking about Hamnet. All of her time is going to Oscar luncheons, Oscar screenings.
They should have held it for another couple of weeks.
Maybe but
get through the Academy Awards. She can then come out and push the movie and either ride the wave of having won an Oscar or people going, she just missed getting an Oscar. Well, maybe there's something really good in this new film. Let's go see that.
Yeah, whatever it is, it was it's the first bad decision by Warner Brothers in almost a year, Rich. Like, I was looking at it, right? Let's talk about the streak. The streak is something along the line of it's unbelievable, right? We're talking in the last year, they've had #1 movies, including Sinners, Weapons, Wuthering Heights, Minecraft, right? Like, it's been an unbelievable run. And this is the first one where it's I don't want to see it stunk up the joint because I think people are gonna like. You ever watch a movie, Rich, and go, wait till that movie gets to streaming, or for us, it used to be wait till that movie gets to VHS, wait till that movie gets home and people get to watch it, and they find like. Do you remember? You remember? I know you remember this. Austin Powers was not a hit.
No.
Then it came out on video, and that entire summer and that entire winter was nothing but people buying the video, watching the video at college, showing it to their friends, and going crazy. And I think The Bride has potential to not certainly not be Austin Powers, but it has potential to find an audience that may love it in the long run. You know what I mean? It's just one of those weird. It was a bad decision. It was just a bad decision to release it at this particular time. But again, Warner Brothers has other movies they're thinking about for October. So it's like, we're not going to put anything against our movies in October, right? So I don't know. I wish it had a different day. Also, it doesn't help that it's coming out around spring break. And you got like kids movies. You got I know this is going to sound weird. The other problem with The Bride right now is that it's got a major horror film opening Friday that is going to steal all its business. This movie called Undertone that's getting a lot of buzz is coming out. And then you have Project Hail Mary, and then you have Ready or Not 2. So whatever the vapor chambers that The Bride had a chance of maybe, word of mouth helping it or whatever, people finding it, it's going to lose screens rapidly. And as it loses screens, it's just going to kind of disappear on HBO Max. And it will be a happy, misguided accident. But the interesting thing is the people that run Warner Brothers will still it will be their baby that they love, but they didn't do it justice, is what I think is going to happen in the long run. You tell me, if I'm wrong about that. I think people might find it at some point, but they weren't going to find it in this. We haven't had a kids movie in almost a month. Hoppers came out, and everybody's like, "Fuck, I got to go with my kids." You know what I mean? And then the other problem is who's the audience for? Is it for women? Because I think it's very front-facing feminist movie, but they don't necessarily like Frankenstein. So it's I don't know, Rich. I liked it because I like Frankenstein and I like all forms of Frankenstein. So I like Prometheus. I love the concept of gods and monsters. And I just wish and like I said, I think we're going to be talking about, I think Buckley's great. She has a lot to do. I think the makeup design and hair design are all great. But I think we're going to be talking about Bale, at the end of the day too. I think the more it plays on. Now, what I will say to you is, interesting concept. I think Crime 101 becomes a bigger streaming movie. I think that movie, when that movie gets to streaming, that movie's going to do gangbusters. That movie, everybody's going to be like, how the fuck did I miss this?
Like you said before, it's a grown-up adult, action film, crime drama, and the older audience isn't going to the movies as much. So this is going to play very well.
It's this year's Crime 101 is this year's Black Bag. At this moment,
good, yeah. Came out right in the same time frame too.
Crime 101 is this year's Black Bag. Where you're like, how did I miss a Steven Soderbergh movie with big boy themes? What the fuck happened? Crime 101 is that movie, and I think the fun thing for me with Crime 101, the other thing about Crime 101, MGM is flexing again, right? Amazon is, we're going to put a lot of movies out. It had to be the first time in 15 years I saw 2 trailers for 2 MGM movies before Crime 101. When was the last time you saw 2 MGM trailers before anything?
I saw 2 different Mandalorian and Grogu trailers on Saturday between the 3 movies. That was fun.
By the way, I'm not. We talked about that a couple weeks, 3 weeks ago. Not worried anymore. Second trailer is really good. Not worried. Not worried. Yeah. Also, if the whole entire plot of the movie is Sigourney Weaver gives out bounties and they go and collect people, that's fine. That'll be. Do it up. Make it easy. Make it simple. They get into trouble. They fight Hutts. Don't overthink this. Don't ruin anything. Don't overthink this. Just give me my cool bounty hunter and his little mate and putting on the armor. And can I ask you a question? You saw the second trailer.
Yeah.
This is a nerd thing that I appreciate. The creatures they're fighting that he's fighting, there's a sequence in the trailer where he's in like a coliseum and he's fighting creatures. Did you notice the creatures that he's fighting? Because it took me a second. Yes, you should have. Because it involves Wookiees. Droids don't tear people's arms out.
Oh yeah. That they're very similar.
They're
to
all
the
the creatures from the chess set. They're all the monsters from the chess set. It's fucking nerd shit like that that's gonna keep me happy. But yeah, Bride is a stunning miss. Hoppers, however, is not. Let's give some due. Hoppers, $46 million from 4,000 theaters. It earned another $42 million overseas, 88. It also has a rare rich A-grade cinema score coming out of the theaters. Mm-hmm. And there's nothing coming out for kids for a month. It's just gonna roll up cash for a month. And I'm just gonna be like Elementals. Yes. Well, I think it's gonna be a little bit better than Elemental, but it's not obviously not gonna be Zootopia or Inside Out. By the way, Zootopia just left the top 10. Rich, something we picked up on Loud Nerdy last week. Zootopia was still 10 last week at the box office. Zootopia is now the highest grossing animated film of all time. And it resoundingly beat the shit out of Avatar. Like it beat Avatar by $400 million, Rich. Like it's an astounding feat and a franchise that I think Disney, first off, Disney's doing everything down here to make Zootopia their prime franchise. I'm talking parks. I'm talking magnets. I'm like everything is going on Zootopia down here. And I feel like it's because they do Chinatown and LA Confidential for kids. they can just make 35 of them, and think they're great. Like I don't know. Anyway, you wanted to talk about something else. I'm open the floor to you. I'm going to open the floor.
Okay. Last Wednesday, Mike Richardson, the founder and 40-year-long president of Dark Horse Comics, Dark Horse Publications, was fired by the company that had bought up the Dark Horse a couple of years ago,
Embracer Group.
Yeah. And we don't know why, but B, this man's legacy on movie adjacent stuff and movie stuff as well is very impactful, I think. And kind of let's start. I'm gonna try to do this chronologically, but it's not gonna happen. Dark Horse was founded in about 1984 or so. My friend Steve Matson was like their third employee after Richardson and one other person. That was one of his very first jobs working for them. And in 1989, was it 1989 or 1990? After the comic book license for Star Wars had, kind of been deserted by Marvel a few years earlier, they turned around and relaunched a Star Wars comic called Star Wars Dark Empire. It takes place 5 years after Return of the Jedi. And that comic, along with Timothy Zahn's first Thrawn trilogy of Star Wars novels, prose novels, were like the rebirth of the Star Wars phenomena, the birth of the extended universe, and basically what kept fans going for about 15 years or however long it was
until we got to
around
Phantom
making
Menace.
Phantom Menace.
Until we got Phantom Menace.
Yeah, so there's that.
Quick question, wait, stop. I have a nerd question for you. Nerd question.
Fire.
The bad guy in these Star Wars comic books, what is his name? Do you remember him? He's a green guy. Prince Xizor.
Prince Xizor shows up first in that Shadows of the Empire novel.
But then he starts dominating the comic books as just like a fucking weird guy behind the scenes.
He's one of the crime lords, and during this time they kind of did develop those, the crime lord elements a lot more, and we still see it playing out in new canon as well. I never liked Shadows of the Empire for a variety of reasons, none the least being the book was terribly written.
It's a really hard game too. It's a really hard fucking game.
Getting back to Mike Richardson though, Dark Horse did make some of their bones on independent creators and things like that. They also did a lot of early tie-in comic books and spin-offs, including Buffy and Firefly and Angel. They did the first Aliens comics, starting off as a feature in Dark Horse Presents in some beautiful black and white art. If you can track down those really early volumes of Alien that Dark Horse put out, highly recommended. They also put out some early Predator comics. They had the Godzilla license for a while, but also a lot of their independent stuff started getting interest from film studios, and so they turned around and kind of founded like a film production shingle, and they've made films like, and you can see some of it in the background of the picture we have up here. But yeah, Barbed Wire is based on a Dark Horse comic. The Mask was based on a Dark Horse comic. Sin City, Hellboy, Time Cop, 300, Mystery Men, and the Academy Award nominated American Splendor, all based on comics that came out from Dark Horse Comics. As they went into the 90s, they added like a lot of manga titles. So fans of Shogun Assassin, aka Lone Wolf and Cub, they could finally see, oh, these are the comics that this cool movie series from Japan is based on. And manga is one of the biggest things now in terms of geek subcultures. So and they were right there at the start of it. This guy, like I said, this guy's impact.
He was cutting edge cutting edge before cutting edge knew what cutting edge was. The Aliens books you're talking about, don't forget that he was the first to also do Alien vs. Predator. He was also the first to do the Umbrella. Like the Umbrella Academy comes from him. Dark Horse still has all of, like, anytime you look up and you're thinking what comic book is going to be, IP is going to be, where's my comic book going to be? It's usually Dark Horse. Tomb Raider, Avatar, Cyberpunk, Castlevania are all brought in by Richardson, right? This is the statement.
And
okay, got it. I'm sorry.
He was a very big fan of Buckaroo Banzai, and it was basically him pushing this to get this out for fans after 40 years of wondering what Buckaroo Banzai versus the World Crime League was going to be. And finally, he was able to get the rights, get Earl Mac Roche, the screenwriter of Buckaroo
Now
Banzai,
I see why it cuts so deep.
To write a big ass novel like this. And it was kind of ghost edited, I would dare say, by the movie's director, W.D. Richter.
Does the Crime League win? No. Anyway.
No.
No.
And there's supposed to be another book following that is currently being written. And to the best of my knowledge, we don't know what's going to happen with that project. I would hate to see it disappear.
So here's
who
what
knows
here's
with
what
whomever this new
here's
person
what
is coming in to take
Embracer
it.
said. Here's what Embracer said, which is corporate death speak. As part of our long-term vision to better align Dark Horse within a more connected and forward-looking group structure, we're implementing changes to modernize the business and strengthen collaboration across publishing, games, film, merchandise, and other key areas. Our goal is simple: to ensure Dark Horse's vision for sustained success while continuing to serve creators, partners, and fans at the highest level. It is important to recognize Mike Richardson's extraordinary contribution to Dark Horse and the broader comics and entertainment industry. Without his dedication, vision, and leadership, Dark Horse would not be the company it is today. His impact on creators, stories, and fans over the decades has been profound, and we are deeply grateful for the foundation he built. Mike Richardson has not made a statement. And it's a
lot of corporate bullshit speak, it sounds like.
Well, and it sounds like they wanted to do something. They wanted to do something, and he went, "Nah, I don't like how the vision goes with that." And somebody's like, "Well, we like the vision, and time for you to go, Mr. 75-year-old." It's like, but it's my company. Yeah, well, we have a new. I don't know. It's bad juju, and like I said, he's made so much good stuff. If he bounces to somewhere else or just decides to sit back and just, produce or do something like
buy a big houseboat and go fishing.
Yeah. What has he not done? You know what I mean? But we wish him the best. It's a sad day for Dark Horse Comics.
It was a shock across the comic book world. And, like I said, it had a lot of reverberations across, the movie world and TV world as well, because of all the things he had a hand in bringing to us. Thank you, Mike.
Thanks, Mike. We appreciate you. Okay, let's get to the end of our Oscar Decade Cavalcade, which at first sounded like a bad idea. We're going to pick the worst Best Picture winners. But a couple things. I had never seen this movie that we're going to do tonight. We're doing this little Bing Crosby charmer called Going My Way.
Let's once again make a qualification here. We didn't decide that these were like the worst Best Picture movie winners.
No,
we kind of looked at lists of other critics and saying, well, this was terrible, this was awful. Why did this win?
Weird.
And we wanted to kind of reevaluate those ideas on our own.
Well, and also it's some cumulative list, but it's a weird kind of what I've discovered in this 3 weeks that we've done. Couple things. The Oscars picked movies that did business. One of the things that Oscar voters looked at was, do people like the fucking movie? Great. That should be Best Picture then. And what we've seen, and this is like not more prevalent than this movie. This movie is like, if you're looking for a Best Picture with heft, it's not this movie, right? Going My Way, it stars Bing Crosby. He plays a priest that's coming into an older priest's parish to kind of reinvigorate it and also maybe take it over, but just because the old guy's kind of wearing down. And, the old guy's played by an amazingly game Barry Fitzgerald, who is heartbreaking and poignant and just lovely. And just like, it's not that he's old, it's just that the times are passing him by kind of thing. And it's a really poignant kind of performance. And Bing Crosby is like this schmo that shows up and, dresses in sweatpants, goes golfing. He's just a pain in the balls. Anyway, and he, so it was one of those things. But what I find invigorating about it is that it's a happy movie, but it is not like, I think when we got to this is my profound statement on the Academy Awards. 40s, 50s, and 60s, we're looking for movies that people love. 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, aughts, all those things. It's an auteur world, right? We get to the 70s and the the 70s aesthetic creates all these auteurs, the Coppolas, the Spielbergs, the Lucases, all these different auteurs.
Scorsese's.
All of them. And they take over, and instead of becoming like the most popular movies, and this is a profound statement, Rich, like what we've discovered with these three movies is these three movies were the biggest fucking hits of the year they came out. All three of them. Like they're like it wasn't even close, the box office. Not even close. So for whatever reason the Academy Awards went, is it a popular movie? Cool. Do people love it? Nah, name it Best Picture. Go ahead. And then we got the 70s, 80s, the auteur kind of kicks in, and the Academy gets away from it on rare occasions where the most popular movie in the world wins. We have those nights, but it also turns out, Rich, I think it's kind of funny, those nights are the biggest nights for Academy Award watching viewing because people have a card in the game. Yeah. The Titanics, the Return of the Kings, this weekend, I think there's going to be a distinct flavor around this weekend. I am big this movie, right? Mm-hmm. So I think there's a push that I like. I never ever go picture, director, split. I might do a split on my card this week. I think we're headed towards Best Picture one. Best director.
Giving a spoiler here. On I think it's coming out Wednesday morning if I can finish all the editing tomorrow. The new podcast from the new episode of the podcast from the Philadelphia Film Critics Circle. We talked about that, and there's a lot of discussion of, is this going to split the ticket this year between director and Best Picture?
I think it is. I think actors love the one movie, and I think Paul Thomas Anderson needs to win. So I think it's, and I don't necessarily think there's love for this movie as much as there's love for this movie. I just don't, and I think. So in a throwback, this year might be a throwback in the sense that we're going to spread the awards out and we're going to give the movie that everybody loves unconditionally the Best Picture. And I was thinking about that today, that's what they did in the 40s, 50s, and 60s. Mm-hmm. They're just like, what is the movie everybody loves? Give that Best Picture. What's the most popular movie? This movie was insanely popular, right? And I'm fascinated by that the Academy was smart enough in the 40s, 50s, and 60s to be like, we need people to go to the movies. So we're going to name our Best Pictures movies people actually saw. And I think it's just an interesting little vibe that is opened up because we've looked at The Greatest Show on Earth and Around the World in 80 Days, which played for a year at a theater. One theater for 15 months. And then this movie, which is so popular that Bing Crosby not only was named the star of the year from all the exhibitors, but immediately made a sequel, which in the 40s was unheard of. Like
which also got nominated for Best Picture the following year. And
he got nominated for Best Actor. Like it's fucking. We're going to talk about it.
Okay, yeah.
We're going to talk about it when we get. Yeah, we're gonna talk about this when we get to legacy and franchise viability. I also have I think I have a good legacy movie. So production on this movie is interesting. The director is Leo McCarey. Screenplays by Frank Butler and Frank Cavett. The story is by Leo McCarey. And this is also at an Oscar time when not only did you have a story credit, but you had a screenplay credit. There was also an Oscar for Best Original Story and Screenplay. And so they make this movie. They pop, Reese Stevens, who plays one of the characters that is performing in Carmen at the Met. So she's, she was an actual performer at the Met when this movie was made. So they actually had her like doing the live version of it. And then later on, she becomes the leading Carmen of her generation. Like in the 50s, she becomes the preeminent Carmen. But also, Rich, you should recognize
so we get that performance captured, which is great. Also, phenomenal. before we move off of the rest of the cast outside of Barry Fitzgerald and Bing Crosby, we got to bring in the third priest of this movie, Frank Hugh, who is
fantastic as Timmy O'Dowd, Father O'Dowd,
Father Timmy. Frank McHugh shows up in a lot of stuff in supporting roles. This might be his most notable and noticeable.
He's got a lot to do,
and he's fantastic in it. But anytime he shows up in a movie, usually it's in a lot of smaller part, and he always brings a smile to my face. So that's one of the reasons I do enjoy this movie a lot. It's like, oh, great.
He's usually a person, and when you say supporting, he's usually a person that's shaking hands with the leads. Like he's always, oh, good to see you, good job, Father. And every time he's in something, he brings joy to your
he's
face.
He's a fun character actor.
Yes.
Speaking of familiar faces, the head of the music publishing company at the end of the film is probably very familiar to a lot of folks. William Frawley, who is probably remembered from
he's a Mertz,
being Fred Mertz on I Love Lucy, and he was also in the first 5 seasons of My Three Sons.
Yeah, there's a lot of people kind of lingering about in the movie that either look recognizable or are recognizable. Rich, what about the fact that this is a movie set in New York that is entirely shot on location in LA? Lakeside Country Club for all the golf scenes, Paramount Studios for any of the
Lakeside, Lakeside was a big country club for like the rich Hollywood elites. I know like Jack Benny and George Burns belonged to Lakeside. Yeah, I think Groucho Marx did. You're missing one other actor though that's in this movie.
Oh God,
that people will know but might not have recognized because they bothered to slick their hair back actually this time. One of the two of the teenage toughs who helped form the choir is Carl Schweitzer, better known as Alfalfa from the R Gang cartoons.
Yes, he's a street tough and choir kid. Credits.
Did you?
I did not know that Carl Schweitzer was Alfalfa. No, I did not. Now that you say it, I can't get it out of my head. now that you say it, his cowlick is missing. But also, like, even the church sequences aren't shot in New York, Rich. No. St. Monica Church and Catholic Church in Santa Monica, the Shrine Auditorium for all, like the parking lot for a lot of the scenes. It's just, it is like, it looks like New York, but it doesn't look like New York.
Yeah. Well, Paramount had a really nice New York backlot.
Yeah, they did.
And it's on display there, and it's beautiful.
But so the production is great. McCary, who's known for making these movies, came up with it out of nowhere. Like it's not based on anything. It's just kind of like just something they came up with. And then when Crosby gets introduced, they basically introduce the musical elements of the movie. And he's Rich. He sings 5 fucking songs on the in the movie. Like it's not a. And it's not a fucking musical.
Yeah.
Like it's not a musical, but he sings 5 songs, and all of them, production-wise, all of the music becomes classics for him. They become part of it. The Day After Forever, Three Blind Mice, right, sung by Bing Crosby and the Robert Mitchell Boys Choir gets sold. Silent Night, sung by the Boys Choir and Bing Crosby. Relu Rye, that's an Irish lullaby. That was a hit. Carmen by Reese Stevens. Again, she becomes the definitive Carmen. Going My Way, right? Again, by the choir and by him and by Reese Stevens. Ave Maria gets released. Swinging on a Star not only wins the Oscar but he ends up recording all 6 of the songs in the movie for Decca Records, and they were interested. They were released in a box set of 78 RPM like records, selections from Going My Way, and it topped Swinging on a Star topped the Billboard charts for 9 weeks during a 28-week stay. Mm-hmm. The Irish Lullaby was 12 weeks with a peak position of 4, and the other 3 all charted briefly. And then he released them in a companion album later on in his life, where it's like Bing Crosby sings Hollywood. Like, it's the production wise, like once they added Bing Crosby, it's a very interesting story because they just lean in. Like we have Bing Crosby. Why the fuck not use Bing Crosby?
Yeah.
Like sometimes when
he's
movie.
Great.
What was that?
I was gonna say he's great in this movie too.
He's very charming. He has a Bill Murray vibe going in this movie. The first time you see it, it's a Bill Murray vibe. The first time you see it is when he breaks the fucking window, and the guy's a douchebag, and the guy announces to a priest, "I'm an atheist," and he's like, and then he throws the fucking ball in the street, and he's like, "And you throw like an atheist too." It's like, holy shit. Also, there's a whole minute part of it where he's like talking to the guy. It was my favorite. It's one of my favorite parts of the movie. Like any part with him and Barry Fitzgerald is great, but the parts with him and kids and him and interacting with all the weird people in the neighborhood is really fun. And what I would say is like when he says to the guy, he apologized for breaking the window. And the guy's like, "I don't care. It doesn't fix my window." And then he's walking up the steps and he's kind of like putting his hand in his pocket. And he offers a rosary that is actually actually pearls. And the guy's like, "I don't want that. I'm a fucking atheist." And it's like, it just becomes like a crazy sequence. And he's like, he says he's sorry again. And the guy says, "What can sorry do for me? I can't fix my window," twice. And then Bing Crosby under his breath is like, "Look, I've been repentant. I've apologized twice. I've offered to pay for the window. I don't know what you want from me, Mr. Stubborn Person." And he's just so pleasant when he does it. And they're like, "Why are we playing ball with the kids?" "Well, I was a substitute right fielder." Like it's
like it was the most natural, obvious. Well, what do you think?
I was clearly the substitute. The kid had to go away. I was clearly the substitute right fielder, and the ball went over my head. He has a very easy vibe, and it's like, I at times I was thinking like, is this going to be a supernatural movie? Like he's an angel kind of thing, like where he takes everybody's grief and kind of processes it back to them and makes them kind of think about how stupid they're being. Like even down to Barry Fitzgerald, he does that to him too, where he has the big puppy dog eyes where he kind of but he's so pleasant and he's so engaging and he's clearly like the coolest priest in the rectory. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
it would be like, I was thinking about it. This movie kind of sets a standard for the cool priest. You know what I mean? Like, it's really funny in the 90s and 2000s. And now the cool priest would always be the priest that's doing something bad. You know, like the cool priest.
It's funny. One of the current reviews of this movie, I came across this week. The reviewer asked, "Is this the first incidence of like the kind of the youth pastor kind of priest being in any kind of media? He's cool, he's down, he can rap with the kids, kind of a thing." And it kind of has a point, and I have to wonder. Because we always see priests being very, having a certain remove from the world, a certain, I don't want to say haughtiness, but they do kind of look down a little bit, or they have a certain.
Well, it's always the cool priest. It's always the cool priest. Like the priest, it reminded me of was John Hurd in Heaven Help Us, right? He's out smoking in the back.
At the time, though. This feels like this is probably a very radical portrayal of a priest. Very. So I'm wondering if it was controversial. I didn't have a trying to like dig into like
I didn't see any of that.
The
though.
Catholic news or anything like that from back in the 40s. See what
I
they
didn't
said
see
about
it because I think part of it, Rich, is it's not, the reason it's not controversial is because it's so promotional of the Catholic Church. It's so. I think it is. Like
I mean, it is about the spirit and the teachings of Jesus versus this movie is very dogmatic. Is not, excuse me, very dogmatic. It's not about you have to believe this thing or you'll go to hell. It's all about, hey, just be nice to people, be good to people, care about your fellow man.
Yeah, the subplot,
which I think is really the core bit of Catholicism that I still have today that a lot of people have lost, who claim to be far better Christians than they think I am.
Fake Christians. We're in a fake Christian world right now. It's happening amongst us.
Yeah, but what was interesting though is a lot of the things that he deals with, some of the things that he deals with, and some of the conversations they have really kind of skirt around the production code, especially when we get to the banker's son and the old runaway.
The 18-year-old runaway who's like
they have this whole
the 18-year-old runaway who's clearly talking about prostitution. Clearly talking about prostitution.
Mm-hmm. And she's just like, hey, I'll fuck a couple of guys for some money so I can eat. I don't care. She was very la-di-da about it, which I was like, wow, how did they get away with this? That's one of my that's like the first note here on my pad when I started coming up, thinking about the movie.
Shit.
Lots of skirting of the code. But the fact that ultimately everything works out, and they actually got married, and it's just Mrs. Gwimp being a nosy neighbor and not understanding everything, and
Mrs. Gwimp. Jesus H. Christ.
Great character. Great horrible character.
Yeah, just Karen before Karen. I think part of its enduring vibe, right? I would imagine is when people watch this, they see a different world and they can kind of romanticize the world, but also it still has people talking bad about each other, but it's not horrible. I could say bad things too, and they wouldn't be in the neighborhood anymore. Box office, Rich, really quick as we jump around.
I still had a couple of thoughts about the movie, but
we're going to do critical. We're going to do critical.
Get to review. Yeah. Sorry, I was just kind of on a roll.
No. We're both on a roll actually. Box office though, really big, like insanely big for a movie in the 40s. 6.5 million. By the way, just so we're clear, I don't know what's going on with one of our favorite sites. The numbers where we get all our box office stuff is down. It is currently.
I hadn't even gone over this.
Yeah, I get all my numbers from there, and it's down. Critical response then and now. What I found interesting, Rich. So a couple things. I think part of it is like there was one review that said, did they not have any cynics in the 40s? And I was like, why you gotta be an asshole about things? It's a pleasant, well done movie. It's a slice of life movie. It's got really good performances by Barry Fitzgerald and Bing Crosby, and actually everybody in it is pretty great, right? Is it schmaltzy? Yes. Is it overlong? Yes. All true statements. And I think but it's pleasant. And it'll make you smile. And Fitzgerald is so great in the movie. Like, I know Bing Crosby is good in this movie. He's great. He's like the cool Bill Murray character, right? But Barry Fitzgerald, as an aging guy who feels like his church is being stolen from him, and then systematically
after he put in 46 years building.
After he's put in 46 years, hasn't seen his mother. And I don't know how hard shelled you have to be to watch the entire movie and watch the end of the movie specifically and not get a tear in your eye. And if you are that hard, I don't know that I want to be your friend. Like,
that was another note I had. I said this movie totally earns its ending.
The ending is incredible. Like, the ending is the kind of thing where you're like, so the ending sets up, they're going to open a new church. He gets all the donations he needs. He sells a song to basically cover all the church problems, and they've solved all the problems. And he gets sent out to he's going to leave. The bishop says, you're going to leave and go to a different parish. But in between that, he sets up a meeting between Barry Fitzgerald, Father Fitzgibbon, and his mother, who he hasn't seen in 46 years. And it's just
in Ireland.
His mother in Ireland, who sends him booze every year. And it's just a heartwarming moment. And it's not, there's no dialogue. It's just this old lady walking towards Barry Fitzgerald, and she puts her head on his shoulder, and he puts his head down. And if you're not fucking crying, I don't know what to tell you. You're inhuman. You're an inhuman person.
Yeah, no, I was
like tearing up. Jesus Christ! Like, I've watched in the last 2 days. I watched Hamnet. I watched Nuremberg, Hamnet, and this in the last 3 days, and I've been blubbering like a baby watching movies. Like,
you've been putting yourself through the ringer, buddy.
Yeah, I just fucking Hamnet. Oh my god. Anyway, but like I said, like, Fitzgerald's so good, and like, there's, does it go along a little long? Probably, but it's like everything from the 40s, 50s, and 60s. If it's not 2.5 hours, it's short. And so it's 2 hours and 6 minutes. Because I was thinking about it, Rich. I think part of that is that when people are spending all their money to go to movies, it better be 2 fucking hours. It better be 2 hours for my 10 cents. It better be 2 hours.
Hold on. You're getting an A picture, you're getting a B picture, you're getting a newsreel, you're getting a travelogue, you're getting a cartoon, a short feature, and you can sit there all day if you want, because they just keep rolling in a continuous loop. They don't clear the auditorium between showings. So
I think one of the things that is not prevalent in these movies we've been watching, Rich, there are no editors. There's nobody to go, hey, we should cut some time. Like, and it's a little bit like the time we're living in right now, where everything's 2 hours and 40 minutes, and you're just like, why is that 2 hours and 40? Like, what happened? But that being said, the music is great.
We'll get when we get to its competition in the Academy Awards for Best Picture in a few minutes. That time length will come back to. We'll come back to that. That's all I'm going to say for right now.
We'll talk. We're going to talk about that. The other thing I would say is, the interesting thing about it is, it's not necessarily a cohesive film as much as a series of vignettes where Father Chuck is kind of bouncing in and out of things, right? I think it's really funny that, when we're talking legacy, that they made a TV show out of it, right? Like in the 60s, they were like, we could easily make these into hour-long episodes where where Father meets somebody, solves a problem, and out by 45, baby, right?
Yeah, it was Gene Kelly too. So yeah, I would love to see this, but I don't know where. I haven't been able to.
I don't know where to find it. But we'll talk about it. But like I said, it's a warm, pleasant movie. Is it the greatest movie I've ever seen? No. Is it a happy, heartwarming movie that I could see why people would fall in love with it, but not necessarily as in love as its sequel? Sure. Right? Like, Crosby's great with the singing. All the songs hit. Like, there's not a bad song in the bunch. It does get a little like weird subversive, like when he's like walking around talking to people when he's like, shouldn't be gossiping or, whatever. And like I said, I think you're right. The 18-year-old subplot is just bonkers, right? It's like, she's like, I'm leaving my house because I can't bring men over to fuck on the couch. I'm good.
I don't think she was quite like that, but there were a couple of things where, like when the Thomas Jr.'s dad, Thomas Sr., the banker, shows up at their, as we will eventually find out, their newlywed love nest, where he goes, "How old are you?" And she goes, I'm 18. And he goes,
Thank
oh,
God.
thank goodness for that. And it was just like, whoa, how did that skate by
Whoa,
this?
whoa, holy,
Again, this
holy Epstein files. Anyway,
but
yeah, but it's a perfectly pleasant movie. I'm sure it's getting slings and arrows because it's not fucking Raging Bull, or it's not, you know what I mean? Like, it's not.
Well, I've got a couple of things I want to say before we kind of move into why I think this was voted Best Picture versus a couple of other things. First of all, I did, as I rewatched it again this evening, I made a note, and this is the first time I had this thought. Bing Crosby and Barry Fitzgerald, this is a buddy cop movie. This is the young rookie who's excited to be on the job, and the old grizzled, I can't wait till I'm retired cop. That's the dynamic they have, where they're just butting heads. The very classic generation gap between the two. It's just they're priests. They're not shooting anybody. Because that would be very problematic if they were. But that's the kind of dynamic that they have going through most of this. And Barry Fitzgerald's priest kind of like mellows out by the end, and I think that makes the movie as much his story as it does Bing Crosby's story, and that I think is what leads us to something that happens also in the Oscars, which we'll get to in a moment. The other thing, again, I love Frank McHugh showing up and stuff. Him and Bing Crosby have just like this really cool vibe between them of, yeah, we went to high school together, we're old friends. And when we kind of do any kind of that formality of calling each other father or whatever, I feel there's just a slightest hint of like, we're only doing this because it's expected, and there's no way I'm not going to be sitting there calling my best buddy Tim, and he's not going to be calling me Chuck. And, if there was anybody else around in the room.
It's a formality.
There's a fun irony to it. Mm-hmm. Uh-huh. And, one other thing. This movie reminded me, because like I said before, it's almost spiritual, but not dogmatic about Catholicism. It kind of takes some of the generic, I don't want to say generic teachings, but the non sectarian teachings, and of just, hey, be nice to people, and applies that to what the Bing Crosby's priest character is doing. It reminded me of some of the non-denominational Christian films of Shorty Yeaworth. Do you know who I mean?
No.
Shorty Yeaworth was a independent film director based in outside of Philadelphia, in right outside of Phoenixville, and he had two big Hollywood films that he made to finance these other spiritual films that were more kind of very similar in a vibe to this. It was just people being good, people helping other people, without saying Jesus said this and Mark blah 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 or whatever. Like I said, spiritual without being like specifically dogmatic. One of his big films was The Gospel Blimp. But the two films that he made in he made and then sold to Hollywood in order to fund a lot of this kind of other production, this spiritual filming production. The movies were The 4D Man and The Blob.
Okay, monsters sell, Rich. Monsters sell.
Yeah.
So I think this is a good place to jump to our last thing, which is legacy, and then also we'll talk a little bit about the other things, the movies that it was up against. So, not only did we have Would You Rather Be a Fish together, Richard, I find it hilarious when we share a brain cell. And this is one of the legacy franchise things I was going to talk about tonight.
Ah, there you are.
Yes.
Damn, I thought that was going to be the thing that was going to kind of like blow you out of the mind. Oh shit.
No, here's the one that I'm going to blow out of you. I think I'm going to blow your mind with. Ready?
Mm.
This is the other one that I was thinking about today a lot while I was watching this, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
This movie, Sister Act, doesn't exist unless Going My Way exists. And my dad ran that theater when Sister Act opened, and you've never seen more Catholics in a movie theater, except for maybe Last Temptation of Christ, than when Sister Act opened. Like, people were bringing the nuns. Like, it was joyous and magical and just, and that's the movie I thought about today as I was watching this movie. The idea that the Sister Act is the movie where you go, holy shit, that's because think about it, the music, the vibe of like not necessarily being, it's not overly Catholic, but it's not against Catholic. You know, just be nice to people. Don't be an asshole.
One other thing, I'm gonna backtrack for a second because this reminded me of it. One thing I noticed about as I was watching this time, that I really kind of honed in on was the makeup of all the boys and all who live on the street. Mostly white kids, but there are a couple of black kids. There's like one or two Asian kids mixed into that group. And normally in films of this time, I don't think we would see such a diverse cast of kids like that. And I think it's because all of those kids are actually being played by the members of the Robert Mitchell Boys Chorale. And he was kind of like a guy who was just like, I want the best kids for my for this singing group.
I don't care about skin color.
Yeah,
it's actually kind of remarkable.
It's interesting because usually shit like that would get cut, out of
right. Was it a shocker for you? Like, because I've never seen it, so it was a shocker for me when in the middle of the "Swing on a Star" song, the African American child appears, and you're like,
yeah,
oh my god, that's so cool! Like, thank God there's a black kid here.
It's nothing I had thought about before. But this is like the first time in a long while I had watched it, and suddenly, for whatever reason, I was just like, "Oh, hey, yeah."
So we should also talk about
me now because of everything else going on during that decade. And it's glad for it, though.
It's an interesting premise. So this is other legacy stuff. Going My Way is a huge legacy for this movie. This is a show that only ran one season. Kids. Where did my other one go? Hold on. Mother, huss bucket. Oh, maybe I didn't load it. Fudge. Well, okay, so I didn't load it. I mean, I think I did, but I don't know where it is. Anyway, I don't know where it is, Rich. I had
it. What were you gonna say?
Oh, Bells of St. Mary's is the other.
Yes, the sequel.
It's the direct sequel to this movie, and it comes out a year later, which is insane in that time frame. And becomes a Christmas classic that, in many ways, is more beloved than this movie, but did not win Best Picture. But Going My Way, like I was looking at the Oscars, right? So it wins Best Motion Picture, Best Director, Best Actor, Bing Crosby. It loses Best Actor also because Barry Fitzgerald is nominated for Best Actor as well. Barry Fitzgerald then wins Best Supporting Actor.
Yes, the only time an actor has been nominated in that two categories.
Right, they had to change the rules. The rules were changed. That's what I was
saying. That's where I was saying, though, that his character has a real arc to it through the movie, and that's why I could see where people were like, "No, that's a lead character. Yeah, screw it."
Well, and the other interesting thing about it is, think about all the times you and I have discussed Oscars and whether or not somebody's Best Supporting or Best Actor, right? Or Best Actor, Best Supporting Actress, Best Actress. This is the movie. The legacy of this movie is Fitzgerald was so good that he got in the way of Bing Crosby, and then they ended up giving him the Supporting Actor award, and it creates this concept in Hollywood. They create a rule for it. They create a viable rule, Rich, where you can't run for one or the other. And the interesting thing is, for decades after this movie, Rich, we will have people. Well, do you think it's going to be supporting actors? How long's the role? You know, it becomes a giant question mark for great performances throughout the annals of Oscar history. Like, this movie causes it, and it's just, you know, it's because of these two actors right here, because Fitzgerald's so good. Like I said, the schmo in fucking sweatpants. He's like, but it's just this incredible kind of like alt rule that happens. And I found it so spectacular. I will say we've been doing this thing where we'll show the other Best Picture nominees. I will say this is the first week where I don't have more than one that should be Best Picture. like I understand this beating 3 out of the 4 movies that we're going to discuss right now. This movie was nominated against this movie, Wilson. Meh. It's a meh movie.
I've got something to say on all of these, so let's
do Wilson go
first. Okay, Wilson is 2.5 hours of apparent boredom. It's
no joy, no joy, no pleasure.
It's a biopic of Woodrow Wilson, who was president during World War I. And I'm gonna hold off on anything else about that and one of the other pictures until the end when we talk about voting and the films.
This is the other one since you went away. Meh.
A World War II drama about being on the home front.
Yep. Meh.
Great cast though. Look at that cast.
It's a fantastic cast, but it's
Joseph Cotton, teenage Shirley Temple as she's starting to really become a good actress. Monty Woolley, Lionel Barrymore, for goodness sakes. Holy cow.
It's got a great cast, but it's Rich. It's like, I can see why it beat this. Okay, no problem. Gaslight. Yeah. Okay. It's okay. It's fine.
It's
what I mean?
It's a remake of the British film that adapted the original stage play. It's good.
Yeah, it's fine. It's acceptable.
Yeah.
It's probably, it could be in some places viewed as better than this movie, but meh. The idea that
this is of course where we get the term
gaslighting. Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah. Okay, but it's an okay movie. It's not going to change the world, right? Like, we were talking last 2 weeks, movies that were actually important movies that kind of got passed over in 56 and 53, 52, right? But here's the one, Rich. Here's the one where you go.
Yep.
Here's the one where you go, I know it's a happy movie. And I know why we like Happy versus this, but this movie called Double Indemnity
one of the all-time greats,
is widely regarded as the precursor to any film noir film you will ever find. It is the best and the brightest of film noir. It is dark and horrible and just incredible in every conceivable way. One of the great movies of all time. And
it's a nasty, cynical piece of work, and I love it.
Well, and that's the fun thing. The fun thing is, Rich, these two movies are so different. They're so different. The worldview is so different. Because Double Indemnity is just like, think about the woman in Double Indemnity, right? Played by Barbara Stanwyck. And then think about the woman, the 18-year-old girl, drifter girl, in Going My Way. And it is an entirely different worldview. It is crazy, the worldview.
If you've seen Double Indemnity, you know the Barbara Stanwyck's house. that you see in like a couple of great shots as Fred MacMurray's driving up to it. That house is still there in Los Angeles. You can visit it. It's a privately owned home, and the garage doors look a little different, but you can easily find it. You have to go up a really stupid winding road that's very narrow and
dark LA road.
It was one of the worst drives I've ever had up a hill. But it's there. It's and I wish I'd remembered to pull the picture to that we could use it for. But
the interesting thing is, these are two movies nominated the same year. And Rich, I believe they're made by the same company. They're both Paramount. Like, they're made by the same company with different worldviews. And one is this happy movie that played forever and did well and has Bing Crosby crooning and just kind of playing golf. And the other is a pit nasty viper, evil kind of cynicism, like just cynicism incarnate. It's just everything about the human condition that's bad. And one is stood the test of time.
This is 1944. We are in the midst of a world war that is now going on, I think, 3 years or so, 2 to 3 years now. And people are tired. They don't want nasty, cynical, bitter. They're going to want it after the war because that's when film noir really takes off. But yeah, this is one of the Double Indemnity is one of those movies that, is the keystone foundation for that genre.
It's the precursor for an entire movement of film.
I dare say, Wilson, from everything I've read about it, is all about, hey, World War I was great, and we're going to use that as an allegory for why we think World War II is going to be great too, and we're so proud that we're fighting. And and I don't think.
I said, I think
it may have been well put together. I mean, the movie has I don't know how many other nominations. It won Best Screenplay, Original Screenplay. It had.
I think Going My Way is better than all the other movies except for Double Indemnity.
Yeah. It had 5. It had 10 nominations at the Academy Awards.
Yeah.
And the same that Going My Way had, and so they were going up head to head in a lot of the categories. I think overall the Academy was like, yes, we recognize that it's good filmmaking. But frankly, we're starting to get a little war weary, so we're not going to vote for Wilson. We're not going to vote for something. Since You Went Away, Gaslight is, like we said, kind of slight, and this is uplifting. And right now, we need uplifting, even though it does mention the war super briefly.
Again, I think the point I made earlier, the idea that the Academy was very cognizant of movies that did well, right?
And this did phenomenal.
And Going My Way was clearly the number 1 movie of the year by a lot, right? And I think it's just really funny to me that one is the darkest of the dark human soul movies, and the other one is kind of like just a happy movie about a father likes to play golf, croons a lot, but what I think is interesting.
I mean, in other circumstances with these 5 films in this category, if there was other things, different things going on in the world, Double Indemnity probably would have taken it.
But here's the thing,
Rich, my mind.
Here's the thing. The reason that Going My Way is on our list that we saw that we were looking at is because of us looking at it going Double Indemnity stands the test of time. It's because of the cynicism that has permeated the Academy since the 70s, that where people go, well, it's not always what movies win, it's what movies was it up against, right? What did it beat, right? And I think that's an interesting take.
Yeah. How about let's take a look at the movies from the year that weren't nominated for Best Picture, that very conceivably, if we had kicked Since You Went Away and Wilson off the rolls, say. I got a list here of several films that I think should have been in there.
Name the movies. Let's go.
Okay. First of all, we've got Meet Me in St. Louis, which is fantastic on its own. And, it's got the St. Louis connection because Bing Crosby's character is from St. Louis. So, that I think maybe should have been a contender to have and have not.
That Judy Garland performance.
First Humphrey Bogart, Lauren Bacall film. Arsenic and Old Lace. Murder, My Sweet, which I think is probably one of the best Raymond Chandler adaptations that doesn't star Humphrey Bogart. Miracle of Morgan's Creek wasn't nominated, but came out this year. National Velvet. And then just look at this year's Best Director category. We've got Alfred Hitchcock for Lifeboat and Otto Preminger for Laura. And neither of those films were in the Best Picture conversation here.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And they damn well should have been, because they're both fantastic films.
So, yeah, this movie won 6 out of 10, by the way. So it won Picture, Director, Actor, Supporting Actor, Screenplay, Original Story, was nominated for Cinematography but lost, nominated for Editing but lost, and then it won Best Song. So it won 6 out of 10. Do you know what movie it shares? What they call the 6 above the line wins? What movie it shares that particular honor with?
Not off the top of my head.
So we have the Oscar categories where it's the like One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, Silence of the Lambs, It Happened One Night, right? Where it's picture, actor, director, actress, screenplay. I think it is, right?
Yeah.
The 5. The above the line wins movie that this tied. The movie tied it. 2022, a little movie called Everything Everywhere All at Once is the movie that this holds place with. Comment. Hold on. Comment. Jerry says, "How's it going, fellas? Pretty good. We're convincing about movies.
Thank you, Jerry.
Never saw Double. You've never seen Double Indemnity?
Oh, dude.
I'll check it out.
Fix that.
You gotta watch it. You'll never look at My Three Sons the same way again. You'll never.
There are 2 movies where Fred McMurray is a complete son of a bitch. It's this and The Apartment. And I argue that because he's playing against his normal nice guy type, those are his 2 best performances.
I would agree with you. I would agree with you. I think the legacy of this movie is that it's a happy movie that gets a bum rap because we've gotten really cynical from the 70s onward, right? I think that is what jades it into the point where it's like, because it doesn't have heft, right? And that's okay. It's okay. It's okay that it doesn't have heft. Okay, well, we're going to end tonight. This is the perfect place to end. We got some things coming up this week, some big things. First, I shouldn't say Thursday first. I should say tomorrow first. I should say Tuesday first. Tomorrow night on Loud and Nerdy, Jerry, Joe, and myself will be hosting production designer extraordinaire Mick Strawn. He's done Blade. He's done a lot of good movies. And we'll be hosting screenwriter Jared Burris from an indie horror hit called Pig Hill, which is a horror film about an urban legend of pig people from Western Pennsylvania. Super excited about having them on Tuesday, March 10th at 9 p.m. Then on Thursday, the boys are back. Riot, Ryan West, Joe Ridgely, Untrained and Unscripted, bi-weekly. This is their Thursday first show. They will be on Thursday night. We will be back next week. I don't think we're doing a movie. I think we're going to do an Oscar recap. We may have guests just talk about how the Oscars went the night before. And then we'll get into what we're going to do in the coming weeks. We're working on some interesting things. I think we have a real crackerjack Father's Day list we're going to have and all kinds of cool things. But where can people find your stuff, Rich?
All of my writing can be found at filmbuffonline.com. We also have a Facebook page. You can follow us there to get alerts as to whenever new stuff goes up, as well as getting some fun stuff like things about this date in history, celebrity film actors' birthdays, and things like that. I have a second podcast that I work on called the Film Scribes. It's the official podcast of the Philadelphia Film Critics Circle, which I am a member. And sometime later this week, we will be having our Oscar preview special going up, where we look at every category with the exception of the short films, because not all of us could get all of access to see all of the shorts in those categories. So just check out your favorite podcatcher of choice for that. I can be found on the socials on Twitter, Blue Sky, and Threads as at FilmbuffRich.
So JW the Movie Guy on Facebook, Instagram, Threads, Twitter. I don't have TikTok, IMDb, and we do a bunch of shows on the net. Thank you for joining us tonight. See everybody next week. Have a great Oscar night. Enjoy the Oscars. I think Conan O'Brien's going to be great.
Oh, God, yes.
It's going to be very much a night where you see this movie and you see this movie, and it's going to be maybe the technicals for I don't know. Maybe the technicals for a couple movies. I don't know. It's actually one of the coolest years in a while where you have two dominant movies, but other movies could sneak in here and there.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we might get a split. I feel it. I don't know why I feel it. And I almost never, ever, 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 Rich, ever. If something wins best director, I usually give it best picture. But I just don't feel it this year. I think it's going to be one's going to win best picture and one's going to win best director, because I think the actors really love one movie. I think the actors love one movie and not necessarily the other one.
And also, if you haven't seen Going My Way, folks, it is available on Amazon Prime this stream.
It's a good movie.
Yeah.
I don't think I ever would watch it because it's got overtly Catholic, crazy Catholic stuff, but it's a pleasant movie. Bing Crosby's great. Barry Fitzgerald.
I don't think it has overtly crazy Catholic stuff.
No, I think that's
Catholic, really.
No, but what I'm saying to you is I think that's why I stayed away from it for so long. It just.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's got two priests
Maybe
on
next
the
year we can
cover.
talk about Miracle of the Bells. Bells of St. Mary.
Bells of
Miracle
St. Mary.
of the Bells is a whole other movie.
Maybe for Christmas this year. We'll do Bells of St. Mary's as a sequel to this episode. Thank you for joining us. It is a Christmas movie. Perfect Christmas movie.
Yeah.
Have a great night. Stay safe. Enjoy your Oscar Sunday night. Have a blast. Enjoy it.
Yes.
Bye.